New developments this morning in an alleged spying scandal at the Paris Olympics involving Canada. The head coach of the Canadian women's soccer team is removing herself from coaching the team's opening match against New Zealand tomorrow after word of a second drone incident. The Canadian Olympic Committee says two members of the Canadian Olympic team, Joseph Lombardi, a soccer analyst, and assistant coach Jasmine Mander, have been removed from the team and are being sent home. This after drones were flown over two of the New Zealand team's practices earlier this week. Head coach Bev Priestman now says she is taking ultimate responsibility for the conduct of the program and is voluntarily withdrawing herself from tomorrow's match. Now, Canada's sport minister posting this morning on X, writing, "Fair play is the highest principle of sport. The actions of those involved do not reflect Canada's values or the values of sport. I am in contact with the Canadian Olympic Committee and Canada Soccer." With me now to discuss these developments is John Molinaro. He's a soccer journalist and founder of TFC Republic. John, good morning. So glad that you could be with us. So all of this is unfolding very quickly. Two Canadians going home. The assistant coach and an analyst. The coach is sitting out tomorrow against New Zealand. What is your reaction to what we have seen so far?
I'm honestly baffled by all this. I'm really surprised. Canada are the defending gold medal holders. They're ranked number 8 in the world. New Zealand is ranked number 28. Canada has played New Zealand 15 times since 1987, and they've only lost once. And that was back in 1987 in their first meeting. I'm really not sure what those two assistant coaches were thinking on spying on New Zealand, because what was the purpose of collecting any kind of intelligence on a team that, let's be honest, Canada has had a great deal of success against, and including in recent years. They've played 4 times in the last 5 years, and they've won all 4 of those games. So I'm really baffled by all of this as to why Canada Soccer, or why these two individuals would do this. So, presumably without the knowledge of Bev Priestman, who, regardless, is kind of ultimately responsible for the program.
Okay, that's a good point. Now, just a little bit of background for our viewers. New Zealand alerted police when they saw the drone. They also registered a complaint with the Olympic Committee. As you say, Bev Priestman is taking responsibility for this. She says it doesn't represent our values. She's not going to play tomorrow night. But aren't there bigger questions here about whether or not Canada is actually going to be allowed to play, John? Could this team be disqualified? As you so rightly point out, we're the defending Olympic champions.
Yeah, I mean, I look. My fear, if I was on a member of that team, would be for more sanctions going to be handed down, whether it's from the French police, whether it's from the IOC, whether it's from FIFA, the World Soccer's governing body, because they have a stake in this. There could be more sort of ramifications here. I think kicking Canada out of the tournament would be an extreme measure, and I can't sort of see it happening just because of the lateness of that we're talking about this. I mean, their opening game against New Zealand is tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. I think that would be a nuclear option to kick them out of the tournament. But I suspect that something else is going to happen here, whether it's Priestman is sort of suspended for the rest of the tournament, or there's sort of financial sanctions or sporting penalties against Canada. But I don't think we've heard or seen the last of this.
Could there be another explanation, John, for that drone going overhead while New Zealand was practicing? No.
I mean, I suppose anything is possible. I mean, the fact that Canada has already sent these two sort of assistant coaches home, I think it's pretty much an admission that they knew that they were up to something that they shouldn't have been. Now, again, we don't know what Bev Priestman knew. It sounds like that, this was a project, that this was done without her direct knowledge. But again, ultimately, she is the coach of the women's soccer team. She's in charge, and she's ultimately responsible. So you at least have to applaud her for that, for sort of throwing her assistants under the bus and taking responsibility for this. But again, not a good look for Canada. And I think not just for Canada soccer, but for the entire Canadian Olympic team, because I think it sort of taints them all to a certain degree, even though athletes who have absolutely nothing to do with soccer at all.
And I want to ask you about that lastly, and that is about the players on this women's team. How might they be feeling this morning, given this pre-Olympic scandal?
Probably feel, angered and betrayed, that, let down by these coaches who, maybe they thought they were acting in their best interest, but were clearly not. I mean, it's another distraction for Canada that it really doesn't need. Look, winning an Olympic medal is really hard in women's soccer because it's the 12 best teams in the world coming together. The fact that Canada has been able to win, medals at 3 Olympics in a row is quite significant, and the fact that the gold medal champions is even more significant. That's not easy. You've got to overcome a lot of physical and mental barriers, and you can't really control a lot of things. Now this is like another thing that is beyond their control, right? This sort of scandal, which again I suspect is going to carry on, and there will be other stuff coming out from this. So it's absolutely the last thing that the players want or need right now, as they're going into a very difficult group that includes New Zealand, France, and Colombia. They're trying to defend the gold medal, and the fact that they have to now deal with this on top of everything, I would think that the players would be quite angered and felt betrayed by all of this.
John Molinaro, more developments to come, no doubt, as the investigation continues into this. John's a soccer journalist, and he is the founder of TFC Republic. Thank you so much.